So what a way to end the NFL's 100th regular season by just an absolutely crazy game with a crazy finish. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Let's just get into the ending of this game. And I actually thought that this was really fascinating. So first, I'm actually going to go back to, this is right before timeout, the play you see on the screen. This is right before the timeout. If you look, it's clearly man coverage, but really what I want you to take a look at is going to be that San Francisco defender right over there, because notice how far down he is to the bottom half of the screen. He is past the hash marks down to the bottom half of the screen, and he's at the point where he's almost lined up with a Seattle receiver all the way over there. And the reason why that's important is because he's the one safety who's deep. Other than that, there's going to be no help who's deep. There are 5 49ers players who are in the middle of the field. They're probably going to all rush the passer here. It seems unlikely that you're going to try to take away anything over the middle since it's a 4th down and 10. So why are you going to try to take away a 5-yard gain? Either you're going to rush the passer or you're going to play deep, more than likely. And so with one safety deep and looking at how far to the bottom half of the screen he is, it seems pretty clear here that there's a double team of some sorts, or not even really a double team, but he's over there because Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are both over there. But now what's interesting to me, what I find very fascinating here is that, okay, so timeout gets called by San Francisco here, and then they reset things. And so now if you look at this play, you'll notice that first things first, again, it looks like it's the same play, where all 5 of the 49ers players who we know are playing man are once again in the same spot. But what's really unique now is that the safety has clearly moved further up to the top half of the screen. He is clearly aware that, clearly there was some sort of strategic decision that went on where they said, we don't want him too far to the bottom half of the screen. Yes, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are both on the bottom half of the screen, but we think there's probably a reason for that. There's probably a reason why Seattle hasn't spread them out. Maybe Seattle would want to draw a couple of double teams toward the sideline and attack over the middle. They're not doing that. So because they're not doing that, this maybe gives you an idea that they're trying to draw a double team to the bottom half of the screen, get one-on-one matchups on the top half of the screen, and then be able to attack those matchups. And that's actually what Seattle is going to be doing here. Specifically with those 2 routes right there, it's actually going to be that route that Wilson is going to want to throw this ball to. It's going to be John Ursa who has a route that they feel comfortable he could potentially get open right here. He's a quick guy who can cut well, so that's why they're going to throw it in this direction. And after the ball is snapped, it actually works out okay. Look, he is able to get some separation, but the problem is that he doesn't actually get past the goal line. And I'm going to try to play this whole sequence. I don't know if it'll get copyright claimed or not, so if it does, you'll just see a little portion of the sequence played back and forth. Sometimes they get copyright claims, so I can't play it for too long. But it took him a while to actually get the ball snapped after getting that first down, so I found that very interesting. They clearly had an offensive lineman who was banged up. You honestly would have liked to see them maybe potentially just take the 10-second runoff and have the injury timeout, although it only took like 12 seconds as a whole, so usually you would like that to take 8 seconds. Those 4 seconds didn't really matter too much, I don't think, but definitely, it's a factor for sure. Having an extra 4 seconds does help, I think. But really, that's not a big deal. I do find it interesting that they didn't end up getting the first down there, and actually what I find very more interesting is what happened after this, where they actually got a delay of game penalty and had to push the ball back 5 yards. My first thought was the reason why they did that was because they wanted to get Marshawn Lynch on the field, and there was some miscommunication, which I thought was just going to be so poetic that, obviously they potentially lost the Super Bowl because they didn't run the ball with Marshawn Lynch, and then here, potentially, they lost a potential chance to win the division by trying to get Marshawn Lynch the ball, but actually it appears as though that was not the case. Apparently what happened was that it looked like there was an injured player, and Seattle thought that they were going to get an injury timeout, but then that did not happen, and so because it didn't happen, then they ended up having less time than they realized, which is why they were still in the huddle when there was like 8 seconds left, and why they were not able to get the ball off. That, I guess, appears as though that was the case, so kind of an unfortunate mistake there by Seattle, but regardless, now it's 2nd down and goal at the 6-yard line. You're still in an okay situation. What Seattle's going to do here is it's going to be zone coverage that they're going up against, and so that's okay for them, because they actually have a pretty good way to beat zone coverage. The receiver on the bottom half of the screen is going to run that route right there, and then Tyler Lockett, he's going to fake as though he's kind of running a curl route towards the middle, but then he's going to run to the corner of the end zone, and this is great against zone coverage, because it can clear out any 49ers who are close to the top half of the screen, and it could give good leverage for Lockett, who obviously is a very good receiver, can cut well, and can potentially get open. So, as you see, Lockett gets over the middle, there is some pressure there, but also if you look at the safety who's deep, he is looking over to potentially just cover anybody at this point, but he's going to do a great job of staying back, and he nearly intercepts this pass. Really a tremendous play. It didn't work out. He didn't actually get the interception, but still just great awareness there, and that could have been a touchdown had he not been as aware. So we had some questionable situational awareness situations going on by Seattle, but for the 49ers, a player showed a good example of situational awareness. So give him some credit there. Good play. Now it's 3rd down and goal. And this was a kind of a controversial play, although I actually don't think it should have been controversial. It's once again going to be zone coverage, but as you see, just where every 49er player is lined up, the middle of the field is going to get open here. So that's where Seattle should attack. And Russell Wilson knows it, as he has a player running that route right there, which could easily get open. But one thing you're going to see happen here is Jacob Hollister kind of runs into Fred Warner here. Now, when it was slowed down, it kind of looks like pass interference here. Russell Wilson is going to hope that it gets called pass interference because he throws it in that direction. It is not complete. But the way I see it, I don't think that's pass interference. I think that's a good no call because Hollister ran into Warner, not the other way around. Actually, kind of live, I wondered if it should have been pass interference. I think they should have reviewed it. But either way, I don't think that's actually pass interference. I definitely don't think there's enough there to overturn it. It looks to me like Hollister runs into Warner, and you know what? You are entitled to your ground there. Warner was entitled to stand where he's at. Hollister runs into Warner. That's not a penalty in my opinion. I mean, you could argue that there was a little bit of a tug there at the end. Again, it should have been reviewed, but in my opinion, I like the no call. Granted, I tend to be more sort of towards the defensive side of those things. I like to let the guys play. Some people like to throw flags more often, so, you know, that's just my opinion. I wouldn't have been mad if they called it interference, but I don't think it should have been. It should have been reviewed, though, but either way, 4th down and goal, this is the play to decide it. This is the play for the NFC West. For San Francisco, it's once again going to be zone coverage, but a little bit different this time because they're only going to have 2 defensive backs who are going to be further deep, as opposed to in the past when they had 3 who were in the deep part of the end zone. This time they're saying, you know what, we're going to have 5 guys right on the line. We're going to protect that goal line. We think that's where Seattle is going to go with it here, so we're going to try to protect that. So good play call, actually, by San Francisco, because it is going to be Hollister running that route that Wilson is going to look to throw to. And, you know, for a good reason. I mean, Hollister gets pretty much as open as anybody was able to get once they got inside this goal line situation. You know, he clearly has some inside leverage with Warner, but also if you look at Warner, he's kind of pointing and he's basically shouting out, hey, watch 48, because he's about to get open right now. You might have to make a tackle. And that player who is in a position to make a tackle is rookie linebacker Dre Greenlaw. And I mean, this is about as big of a situation as you can get right now. He has to run in and make this tackle. I mean, this is huge. This is for the division. This is for a bye week and the number 1 overall seed. If he makes this tackle, they get the number 1 seed to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. If he does not make this tackle, now they have the 5 seed have to play in Philadelphia and then potentially have to go to Green Bay to try to get a win, and then potentially have to go to the Saints to try to get a win. So it's a very dangerous situation if he does not make this tackle, but Greenlaw makes the play. He saves the day for San Francisco, and just like that, they're able to clinch the division by, 3 inches. I mean, it was that close. They barely got it. Wild finish, wild game. It looked like for a second San Francisco was going to run away with it. They were not able to. Seattle did a great job of coming back, as they always seem to do. But, you know, give this 49ers team credit. I thought their offense did a great job of, they kept scoring late to not allow Seattle to get to a position where they were in a 1-possession game. I thought that there was actually an interesting decision made when it was a 4th down and 1. I thought they could have considered potentially doing the Bill Belichick against Peyton Manning thing, where you go for it in your own territory just to try to make sure that you keep an opposing great quarterback off the field. They played it safe, punted it, and it worked out. Their defense was able to hold. It was not pretty at times, but you know what? As long as you get the job done, that's what matters. And it is also kind of bringing things full circle. They lost to Atlanta on a very similar play where Julio did get in. This time, there was not able to be a touchdown. So, really just a fantastic game by the 49ers and by the Seattle Seahawks. And it'll be interesting to see what they do the rest of the way. But yeah, that's what I thought of this wild final regular season game of 2019. I feel like it went by so quickly. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, thanks for watching.